Hey everybody, MichaelBtheGameGenie here, and on today's video we're going to talk about the worst kept secret in the home arcade space today, the impending re-release of the Atari Star Wars Arcade1Up. But the question is this merely a re-release of the original cabinet, or could we be expecting to see something a little bit more deluxe? And I'll tell you more about it right after this. So that's right guys, today we're talking all about Arcade1Up's impending re-release of the Atari Star Wars cabinet. This is one of the best cabinets they have ever made and a favorite of mine and a lot of other Arcade1Up enthusiasts, and fans have been clamoring for a re-release for some time now. In fact, a lot of us YouTube people and other people in the community have been reporting that Arcade1Up was planning to do this before the holidays last year. Unfortunately, that never came to fruition, but here we are, early 2023, and it looks like it's finally happening. But the question is, will it be merely a re-release, or can we expect to see something a little bit more like a deluxe cab that was just announced? Anyways, before we get into that, I want to say thank you so much to everybody for checking out the video. Guys, I always appreciate your continued support, and for those of you that are new to the channel, if you like what you see, go ahead, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and all that YouTube jazz. So, of course, this is not new news for any of you guys that follow Arcade1Up Facebook groups, or even the Super Game Room dudes. You would have seen this posted by Greg Sailing, but very recently, a bill of lading was produced and shown to everybody, showing that Arcade1Up have in fact received in the ports in the US several new Arcade1Up Star Wars machines, and it looks like this is the re-release we have been talking about for the last little while. So the re-release is coming. Whoo, and I'm glad I wasn't wrong. And I'm so happy for fans that have been waiting for this machine. I can personally tell you, this is one of my favorite machines Arcade1Up have put out to date. The Arcade1Up Atari Star Wars was an absolute thing of beauty. I've already reviewed this machine on my cabinet, the original machine. If you want to go back and check out that review, feel free to do so. It's easily one of my favorite machines produced to date, and they did such an amazing job recreating the original cabinet in the 3/4 scale. Pretty much everything about it was almost exactly as you would want. But times have changed with Arcade1Up, and that was a machine that was released almost 3 years ago, and new machines are out now in a brand new form factor that are even more arcade accurate. So the question now is, what is Arcade1Up bringing out? Is this a standard re-release of the original 3/4 scale cabinet that we got all the way back in 2019, or is this something new altogether? And let me tell you what I think and I hope Arcade1Up have done. Now guys, first off, I'll start with, if it is merely a re-release of the 3/4 scale cabinet from 2019, or was it 2020, the years since the pandemic have all run together. Anyways, the cabinet we got 3 years ago, that's not such a bad thing, because this cabinet was absolutely fantastic from top to bottom. Still one of the best machines Arcade1Up have made to date. But without saying, there are some things that have to change, but at the same time, there have to be some things that remain the same. And one of the things I really asked for Arcade1Up to do with this re-release is make sure the quality remains the same. That's one of the things that was so important about the original Arcade1Up Atari Star Wars cabinet. They went above and beyond their other standard releases at the time to offer a very high quality product. We got a great looking marquee. We got that BOE screen. BOE is so important, especially with some of the releases you did in the very recent past with those 5.4TN monitors, and we'll come back to that. And of course, also the quality of the marquee and the look of the cabinet. Make sure that those things are retained. More important than anything else is that the quality of the yoke remains as good as it did with the original version. You guys killed it with the original yoke. While it's not 100% arcade accurate, and it is made of plastic, it's durable, it's accurate, it feels good, so make sure that the yoke is of the same quality as your previous release. Another thing that's going to be vital to Arcade1Up's success with this cabinet is the quality of the monitor. And in some recent releases, you have used a 5.4 TN monitor with poor backlighting. Where this is a vector game, the lighting of the screen and the black levels are going to be crucially important to people's enjoyment of the game. At best, please use an IPS, if not BOE monitor, in order to make sure we have as good of an experience as we did with the 2019 version. You honestly cannot use a TN monitor with this game. The art on the cabinet is also vitally important as it's so iconic and represents the game. I know historically you guys have messed around and you don't want to re-release the same cabinet with the same art, but this time it really matters. This is so much better than the Empire Strikes Back art that you could put on there, and definitely better than the Return of the Jedi art. Even though the Return of the Jedi has this wacky, bizarre cab, I would not ask to recreate that. I think you're better off sticking with the original design and keeping this art. It's amazing. Last but not least, honestly, your lightbox marquees have sometimes been criticized for the quality of the peel-on sticker that you use on the front of the marquee. Do not cheap out. Make sure you use the same person that you use for this, because this is like the only marquee you guys have produced in this form factor, if it's going to be a standard lightbox marquee, or even if it's going to be a new style marquee that gets the black levels right. This is the best marquee, light up marquee you've done to date, and I think it was your first or your second. It was either Golden Tee or this one that came out first, and it's never been as good. So make sure whoever printed that sticker for you guys does the marquee for the next one. So guys, that's everything that I hope that the re-release retains for people that are going to be picking this cabinet up new for the first time, to get the same quality experience us lucky people who bought the original one did all the way back a couple years ago. But there are some things I'd like to see changed, because Arcade1Up has evolved so much as a company over the last couple of years, and their machines have as well. So it would be unfair to release the exact same cabinet without some of these other quality of life improvements. So just back at CES, we got our first look at the deluxe cabinets, and we saw Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Class of 81, and of course, Mortal Kombat 2, and we assumed these would be the first deluxe cabinets. But now seeing this and being that thirsty for this new cabinet design, you have to think and you have to hope Arcade1Up have kind of jumped the gun, and none of these are going to be the first deluxe design to make it to retail, and in fact it's going to be Star Wars. So what we're hoping for the Star Wars re-release, you take a look at this Mortal Kombat cabinet, and I'm going to blow it up a little bit. So of course we want that one-piece side panel design. That would be amazing for Star Wars. A riserless design. Now that's going to be complicated because Star Wars had to be a taller cabinet. So if you remember, Star Wars actually had a 15-inch riser. There was an additional 3 inches. I think it was 15 inches. 15-inch riser. So the side panels would have to be higher on a one-piece design. But seeing that art all the way down the cabinet and a one-piece design, seeing a recreation of the original arcade would just look so cool. Then moving on, you've got the front panel, and you've got the iconic front panel. Star Wars was one of the first Arcade1Up front panels to actually have art on it. But I would keep the majority of the art, but I would replace where it has the games listing, and of course we need that molded coin door. That's going to be so important on this cabinet. Hopefully it has it. Moving up, the control panel isn't really an issue, but of course we've got the marquee, and like I talked about, Star Wars is one of the best lightbox marquees they've ever produced. But if they're going to move to this new shape, you would love to see that panel there, so at least if they mess up with the marquee, which is possible, we can get an easy replacement from somebody like Greg Zabo or any of the marquee people that produce these one pieces. And I love the fact that the marquee comes out so much over the top and has more of a realistic arcade look. And then of course also the speaker panels that are going to be in there. I think this is such a cool design. It's so low cost, but makes such a big difference instead of the cutout holes. So of course I want to see speaker grills on the bottom of, I think it's called the S panel, what the speaker panel is. You put those things combined with the things I said in the first one, you got yourself a winner. That's a deluxe cab that fans will clamor over and will kind of turn the concept of Arcade1Up right now around to something people are super excited about. And I think the whole community could agree on that. So I think for you guys following along at home, that sounds like a pretty cool cab, one we could all be very excited about. But there is one other small thing I'd like to see them add, and I know it's a cost feature they probably don't want to, but I think it would make such a huge difference. So I want to take you back. This is a still from my Arcade1Up Tron review, and one of the coolest things about Tron, where it's a 2-game Arcade1Up cabinet, is that it includes global leaderboards, and it really pushes that concept of score chasing. Let's be honest, there's only 2 games on Tron, so fans are going to immediately complain about a lack of replayability due to the lack of games. Atari Star Wars is going to be another situation like this. Instead of just 2 games, it's going to be just 3 games. But you really have to push the replayability, and that's where the online leaderboards matter. I know one person who'll be super excited about seeing online leaderboards for Atari Star Wars. In fact, I've seen her buy other cabinets and replace cabinets in her home just for the leaderboard option, and that is Philly Chick on YouTube, or for those of you in the Arcade1Up community or the original Arcade1Up fan page would know her, Jennifer Yabbit. So Jennifer is a absolute Star Wars colossus, and she gets some of the craziest scores I have ever seen. I think her high last time I checked was something like 22 million on Star Wars. I'm not the best Star Wars player. I mean, I can get like 1.68 million, and I thought that was pretty good, but Jennifer just blows us away. So adding in a score chasing feature like that would even have some fans like myself, and maybe even Jennifer, considering replacing our beautiful original cabinets and picking up this new one as well. And honestly, Code Mystics and Arcade1Up did a perfect job on the emulation for Star Wars, above and beyond. But let's be honest, it never hurts to have that option there in case Wi-Fi updates are needed. But really, the leaderboards and score chasing for this game would make such a huge difference. Anyways, guys, that's my hope for this Arcade1Up Atari Star Wars re-release. I'm hoping they retain all of the greatness that was the original cabinet, meld it with all of the fantasticness that we see from these future deluxe cabs that are coming out, and include online leaderboards to improve the replayability for people who are going to question the value with only 3 games on the cabinet. To me, that is a near perfect Arcade1Up cabinet, and one I don't think anybody could find anything to complain about. Maybe they still will find something, I don't know, but to me, that's damn near perfect right there. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments. It looks like we're going to find out very soon, sooner rather than later, on what Arcade1Up are doing with this Star Wars re-release. But let me know in the comments, what do you think of my suggestions? Is this what Arcade1Up Star Wars re-release should be like? Do you think it's missing something and should add something else? I know you guys are going to say Sega Star Wars Arcade. I don't know if that's plausible. So it's just going to be the 3 games. Consider that just the Atari Star Wars trilogy. Do you think there's anything else other than what I mentioned they should add to this cabinet to make it the perfect Arcade1Up Star Wars cabinet? Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. This is Michael B. the Game Genie. I'll talk to you guys next time.